Walk into any boatyard and ask the mechanics which engines never die. You'll hear the same names over and over. The Yanmar that's still running after 15,000 hours, the Mercury kicker that's older than the captain using it, or a robust Gardner. Some engines just refuse to quit. They run season after season, decade after decade, outlasting everything around them. Today we're counting 20 boat engines with legendary longevity, the ones that keep running long after their manufacturers expected them to stop. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to support our channel. Now let's see what makes them immortal. Start with the two-stroke legend born in 1938, the Detroit Diesel 671. This engine has been powering boats since before World War II. The architecture is brutally simple, with each cylinder getting its own removable head. That means you can service one cylinder without tearing down the entire engine. The castings are thick enough to handle twice the rated power. Everything is oversized and overbuilt. What makes the 671 truly legendary is how you can rebuild it indefinitely. Commercial boats have torn down and rebuilt the same engine block 4 or 5 times across 40 years of service. The fuel system is completely mechanical, no computers, no sensors that fail, just precision machined components you can service with basic tools. Finding mechanics who know these engines gets harder every year, yet the 671s themselves keep running in sport fishers and workboats that should have been repowered decades ago. Now the British engine that defined reliability. Gardner Marine diesels. If you mention Gardner to anyone who ran boats in the UK, they'll tell you these engines are practically indestructible. Gardner built commercial diesels for fishing boats and cargo vessels where downtime meant bankruptcy. The construction is absurdly robust. Crankshafts that look like they belong in engines twice the size. Connecting rods machined from solid billets. Block castings so thick they barely heat up under load. Everything designed to run continuously for years without major service. The fuel economy is legendary. Gardner engines sip diesel while producing steady power. Commercial operators chose them specifically because fuel costs stayed manageable even on month-long voyages. Parts are harder to find now since production ended, yet the engines keep running because they were built so well initially that major failures remain rare. Then the trawler diesel that powers thousands of boats. The Ford Lehman. You'll find these in displacement cruisers from California to Florida. Ford originally built these for industrial applications before Lehman adapted them for marine duty. The combination of industrial toughness and proper marinization created an engine that simply will not die. 4 or 6 cylinders depending on model. All mechanical injection. 0 electronics to fail. The engines cruise at 1600 to 1800 RPM, which means components last essentially forever. Bearings see minimal loads, rings wear incredibly slowly, everything operates well within its design limits. Owners routinely run 10,000 to 15,000 hours before considering major work. When that day comes, the engines rebuild completely. Bore the cylinders, replace the crank, install fresh pistons. You end up with essentially a new engine using the same basic block. Moving topside to Mercury's commercial outboard line. The Mercury CPro series from 15 through 60 horsepower. Mercury didn't just rebadge recreational engines for commercial use, they actually redesigned critical components specifically for guide services and rental operations that run engines hard every single day. Heavier mounting systems, upgraded corrosion protection, beefed up lower units with larger gears, enhanced cooling capacity. All the weak points that kill recreational outboards got addressed through better engineering and tougher components. Guides running CPro outboards 8 hours daily report 3 to 5 seasons before any major service becomes necessary. That's exceptional durability for engines operating under continuous commercial load in harsh saltwater environments. Now the Cummins that charter boats depend on. The Cummins QSC 8.3. This inline-6 diesel produces 330 to 425 horsepower depending on how it's rated. Cummins designed this engine for buses and industrial equipment that run continuously under load. Cast iron block, forged steel crank. Connecting rods sized for applications far more demanding than marine use. When charter operators need an engine that works every single day without fail, they choose the QSC 8.3. The Cummins dealer network means parts and service are available everywhere. Operators report several thousand hours between major services when maintenance schedules are followed. Here's the portable Yamaha with big engine longevity, the Yamaha F25. This small four-stroke outlasts engines 3 times its size. Yamaha engineered the F25 around proven technology and conservative design rather than chasing maximum power from minimum displacement. Corrosion protection throughout the engine exceeds what you'd expect at this price point. Stainless hardware, multiple paint layers, sealed electrical connections, everything designed expecting decades of use rather than a few seasons before replacement. Small boat owners love these because they work reliably after sitting unused for weeks. The engine fires immediately, runs smoothly, and asks nothing beyond basic maintenance. Parts availability is excellent worldwide because Yamaha produces these in huge numbers. Back below for Caterpillar's heavy-duty diesel. The Caterpillar 3406. This engine means serious power for serious applications. Caterpillar built the 3406 for long-haul trucks and stationary generators that could never stop working. When adapted properly for marine use, that industrial DNA translates to engines that run for decades. High torque at low RPM makes these perfect for displacement hulls and commercial work. The castings are massively overbuilt. The rotating assembly could handle loads far beyond what the engine will ever see. Tugboat operators report many thousands of hours when they follow Caterpillar's service schedules. The global dealer network means support exists anywhere commercial vessels operate. Now Honda's reliable mid-range outboard, the Honda BF60. Honda's automotive manufacturing discipline shows throughout this engine. Quality control catches problems before engines ship. Corrosion protection goes beyond industry standards with strategic anode placement and proper materials throughout. The internal components are finished to automotive tolerances. Dynamically balanced crankshafts, weight-matched connecting rods, precision bearings. These details reduce vibration and extend service life significantly beyond typical marine engines. Commercial fleet operators report thousands of hours with minimal unscheduled maintenance. The engines simply do their job, day after day, without drama. Here's where agricultural toughness meets marine duty. John Deere Marine Diesels. Deere brings decades of agricultural and construction equipment experience to marine applications. These engines power workboats and commercial vessels where reliability directly impacts whether operators make money or lose it. Heavy-duty components throughout. Conservative power ratings. Everything sized for sustained operation under load. The dealer network through agricultural and construction channels means support exists even in remote locations where marine-specific service might not. Commercial operators choose John Deere specifically for applications where the engine absolutely cannot fail. That vote of confidence from professionals who depend on their equipment speaks louder than any marketing claims. Let's look at Suzuki's mid-range workhorses. The Suzuki DF70 and DF80. These 4 strokes deliver reliability that charter operators and rental fleets depend on. Suzuki designed these engines with oversized cooling systems that keep temperatures moderate even under sustained load. The lower units use gears and bearings sized generously relative to the power output. Shift mechanisms are robust. Water pumps are reliable. Everything about the construction prioritizes longevity over weight savings or cost reduction. Rental operations report thousands of hours with nothing beyond routine maintenance. The engines start reliably, run smoothly, and maintain consistent performance year after year. Now, the sailboat engine you can service anywhere. Beta Marine engines use Kubota industrial blocks with proper marinization. Kubota builds engines for agricultural equipment and stationary generators, where failure in remote locations is unacceptable. That industrial foundation translates perfectly to marine applications. Cruising sailors. Choose Beta specifically because parts are available globally. Any mechanic familiar with Kubota agricultural engines can service a Beta Marine installation. That worldwide serviceability matters enormously when you're crossing oceans and visiting remote islands. The engines themselves deliver thousands of hours of reliable service. They start after sitting for weeks. They run smoothly across their operating range. They maintain rated power year after year without degradation. Here's Mercury's trolling motor that never quits. The Mercury 9.9 Pro Kicker. This small outboard accumulates massive hours specifically because it operates at such low RPM. Trolling speeds around 1500 to 2000 RPM mean cylinder pressures stay gentle and wear becomes almost non-existent. Simple construction throughout. Overbuilt lower unit. Straightforward electrical system. Nothing complex to fail. The Pro Kicker design eliminates unnecessary features and focuses entirely on reliability for low-speed applications. Fishing guides report 5,000 hours or more with 0 major repairs. Just oil changes, gear lube, and occasional impeller replacement. When an engine spends its entire life at low load, it essentially lasts forever. Now the cast iron classic that defines longevity, the Perkins 4.236. This trawler engine represents old-school diesel engineering at its finest. Massive cast iron construction, conservative power ratings, everything sized for decades of continuous operation. Boats running the 4.236 regularly exceed 20,000 hours across multiple rebuild cycles. The engine runs at low RPM, typically 1800 to 2000 at cruise. Those gentle operating speeds mean everything lasts essentially forever. Completely mechanical design, no electronics, no emissions equipment, just fuel, air and compression creating reliable power. Parts remain available through aftermarket suppliers because so many of these engines are still working. The marine community has kept them alive through shared knowledge and continued support. Moving to Volvo's modern diesel engineering. The Volvo Penta D4 series, particularly the D4 260 models. These engines use closed cooling systems that eliminate the saltwater corrosion killing most marine diesels. Raw water never touches the engine block or head, dramatically extending service life. Truck and industrial heritage shows in the robust construction. Accessible components make service straightforward. The engine management system provides useful diagnostics without excessive complexity. Patrol boats and service vessels report several thousand hours before major overhauls become necessary. Volvo's marine network provides support in major boating regions worldwide. Parts availability stays good even for older D4 models, giving owners confidence their investment stays protected long-term. Here's the small Mercury everyone overlooks, the Mercury 25 horsepower 4-stroke. This simple motor powers dinghies and small boats with reliability that exceeds expectations. Basic fuel injection or carburation depending on year. Straightforward electrical systems. Nothing fancy to fail. Construction uses appropriate materials for marine duty. Proper corrosion protection. Adequate fasteners. Sealed connections. Mercury built this engine expecting years of service with minimal drama. Owners choose the 25 because it works reliably. Starts easily. Idles smoothly, produces adequate power for its size. Maintenance requirements are minimal. When something eventually needs attention, repairs are straightforward and parts are readily available. Now commercial grade power that's rebuildable forever. The lugger line from Northern Lights, specifically the L6105 models. Individual cylinder heads, forged crankshaft, wet cylinder liners. Every design choice prioritizes serviceability and extended life. The L6105 produces 255 to 425 horsepower depending on rating. 6 cylinders with cast iron construction throughout. Everything sized generously for the power output, which means the engine operates well below its stress limits constantly. Individual cylinder heads mean you can service one cylinder independently. Wet liners replaced during rebuilds without machining the block. Northern Lights builds these specifically for commercial applications and serious cruising where reliability justifies higher initial cost. Here's the industrial Cummins everyone trusts, the Cummins 6BT 5.9. Originally designed for heavy-duty trucks and industrial equipment, this engine adapted perfectly to marine applications. The industrial heritage means it was engineered for continuous operation under heavy load. Completely rebuildable design. When you reach 10,000 hours, tear it down completely, replace everything worn and get another 10,000 hours. The parts network is exceptional because the 6BT shares components with millions of land-based applications. Need an injector in a remote location? A truck shop probably has one that works. That parts commonality keeps these engines viable anywhere. Marine conversions regularly exceed 10,000 hours before needing major work. now Yamaha's commercial outboard standard. The Yamaha F150 and F200 four-stroke series. Water taxis and charter boats depend on these engines daily. Yamaha's decades of four-stroke experience shows in the automotive-grade internal components and sophisticated cooling systems. Well-maintained examples regularly reach 3,000 to 5,000 hours. That's exceptional for outboards, where 2,000 hours often signals major maintenance time. Commercial operators choose these specifically because downtime costs money and these engines minimize downtime. The parts network stays excellent. Aftermarket support means keeping these engines running long after warranty periods expire remains straightforward. Here's the high-thrust kicker guides depend on. The Yamaha T9.9. Weighing just 102 pounds, this compact outboard delivers reliable trolling power. The 212 cubic centimetre two-cylinder engine prioritizes smooth, low RPM operation over peak horsepower. Fishing guides choose the T9.9 because it works reliably every single day, starts easily, idles smoothly for hours, provides adequate thrust for trolling speeds. Maintenance requirements are minimal beyond routine oil changes and annual service. Simple construction and benign operating conditions combine to create an outboard that simply refuses to quit. At trolling speeds, the engine barely works, which means everything lasts essentially forever. And finally, the sailboat standard that never stops. The Yanmar 4JH series. This four-cylinder cast-iron diesel has powered sailboats and trawlers reliably for decades. Owners routinely report over 10,000 hours with nothing beyond routine maintenance. Yanmar designed these as commercial engines first. Heavy castings, conservative power ratings, everything larger than necessary for the advertised horsepower. The engine spends its entire life operating well below its stress limits. Parts availability stays excellent globally. The service network spans every major cruising destination. You can get Yanmar service in remote islands, foreign ports, anywhere boats travel. That global support matters when you're depending on this engine thousands of miles from home. So what engine are you running? How many hours does it have? Drop it in the comments. Real-world data from actual boaters helps everyone make better decisions. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.